communications. So RoomKey and Guestfolio have had a partnership that dates back to 2011. We have a fully integrated solution that provides guest engagement before, during, and after your stays. It is fully integrated to the PMS system. And currently we actually have, this slide says 100 RoomKeyPMS hotels that use Guestfolio. We actually have 125 at last count. So it's a successful partnership, and we really enjoy working with the folks at Guestfolio, and we get a lot of positive feedback from our hotels. You'll also notice that in Dwayne's presentation today, you'll see that they've done a lot of very exciting development ideas. So I think you'll get a lot from this, whether you're an existing customer that uses Guestfolio or one of our hotels that's considering it. Just a little bit of background on Guestfolio itself. As I mentioned, Dwayne's the president and CEO of Guestfolio. And just recently, Guestfolio was the winner of the World Travel Awards for the world's leading hotel CRM technology provider. So we congratulate them on that award. It's a great accomplishment. Their team's expanded much like ours has at RoomKey. They now have over 20 staff headquartered in beautiful Whistler, BC. And some of the brands that you may be familiar with that Dwayne works with and his team is the Four Seasons Hotel, the Shangri-La, Corinthia, and Six Sense. They're also work with the Tourism Whistler, he's a Tourism Whistler board member and the chair of Whistler.com. I'm now going to turn this over to Dwayne to take you through his presentation. Just a couple other things to note. You will be muted during this presentation, and at the end we will take questions. So you have a box where you can type in your questions. We'll gather those all up, and then at the end we'll answer those as best we can. So thanks again for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Carrie. Glad to be a part of this. I'm glad everybody's muted. I've recognized a couple of characters on the attendee list today, and yes, I'm looking at you, Jeanette, so I think it's great that some of you are muted. So what I want to take you through today is talking more big picture about what a CRM is, specifically for a hotelier. Before I get going, I do want to identify two people that are part of this call. Karen Denton from Whistler Village Inn and Suites, who actually started this relationship for us at RSI and the RoomKeyPMS. That was the first property here in Whistler that we contacted, and through that first kind of investigation, we heard of RSI, and we've had a great relationship since. The other person is good old Jeanette Clark from Lakeview, who took us from a tiny little entity of maybe 5 clients to a going concern of 22 additional clients across Canada, and kind of changed the landscape of our software solution overnight. So just want to say hi to both of you. Thanks for being part of this call. So the key thing with a CRM for a hotelier is that all your important data is one central place, and that all of your guest communications, whether it's confirmation or pre-arrival, in-house, or post-stay, all of that, if it's managed from one central hub, gives you the confidence that your data is secure, your profile information on your guest is constantly being updated, and that it's all sort of measured so you can have the sort of results of the various campaigns and initiatives that you have. So that's the key with the CRM. And it's true, we were awarded in January with the award for World's Leading Hotel CRM. So that was something we won through the World Travel Awards. So let me take you through the process that I'm going to follow today. Is just up top here, so you could get a sense of where we are in the presentation. So how a CRM works, or what you should be looking for in a CRM, whether it's us or any other solution that's out there, is you have to have that real-time PMS synchronization. Without it, you're managing the data yourself, and that's where the data loss happens. That's where duplicates start to happen. So you really need to make sure that whatever vendor you work with can receive data from your PMS in real time, because it's quite important to have it updated. So that's a first step. The second part of a CRM is that it allows you to communicate to the guest at any stage. So again, a CRM really means that you can touch a guest digitally through any kind of instance of their guest journey, any type of interaction. And in doing so, what you're compiling is a guest profile, and we call it a dynamic guest profile because that profile is continuously updated throughout the guest journey. With all of that information, a hotel CRM will allow you to send relevant messages at the right time. And I'll go into details later about what types of messages we would recommend that you send. So in a nutshell, Hotel CRM gives you that business intelligence that you need. It's that way to measure and refine the initiatives that you're executing at your property. Whether you're a 2-star or a 5-star, there's various ways that you want to engage your guest, and a good CRM will help you do that, and then it'll help you measure the effectiveness of it. The holy grail for us at Guestfolio, just so you know what we're working towards, is how can we, I guess, predict or build a persona of your guests so that we'll know when they will book again. And that's the key thing that you want from a CRM, is knowing that they're working towards that. It's taking all of the data, all of the learnings that you have, and then being able to understand when will Mr. and Mrs. Smith book their next stay, their next business trip again, and then how can you get a message to them at that time. So let's start with what we mean by dynamic guest profile. So when a reservation comes into your property management system, or a guest is on the phone, typically you don't know anything about them. It may be their first trip, it could be a repeat trip for them, but there's not much that you know. The data comes in through your website, the phone, or your OTA partner, and it's received into the PMS. Once that happens, the data is then pushed over to, say, our platform at Guestfolio, but it's pushed to your CRM for the processing to occur. When that happens, we at our company are able to detect certain things right off the bat about a guest, such as their lead time. So when did they book their stay? And then when is their date of arrival? That starts to give you an insight as to how much of a planner they are, or how quick they might react to a future marketing message. We also understand their dates of stay, the room type, the rate, the source of the booking, all of those other fields that you capture upon the reservation. That's passed to your CRM so they can process and send some confirmation letters to the guest. The next piece for us is to start measuring other pieces, such as did they open an email? Did they click an email? Did they request any services? If you are full service 4- and 5-star, if you have spa or dining outlets on site, if you start to promote those and allow your guests to make those requests, all of that is now starting to come into their guest profile, and that's why it's very important to have this. And so you can start to learn a little bit more about this person. So during the check-in experience or the pre-arrival planning experience, through some type of app that you might have, or mobile concierge in our instance, you're able to pick up even more information, such as their flight number, arrival time, some of their preferences if you start to engage them. We have a partnership where we're able to capture publicly available information about your guests, such as their gender, their age, their Facebook friends, their Twitter followers, their job title via LinkedIn. So partnerships with Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn allow us to access that publicly available information. So again, we're starting to fill in more of a profile of the guest. And then through the post-stay experience, we know that a lot of you are sending out guest satisfaction surveys. If it's digital, it's great, because then you can start to receive that information back. Again, if your surveys are tied into your central CRM platform, all of those results can come back into this central guest profile, so that's really valuable. There are other areas that we are going to start to measure, such as online reputation management, so we have some solutions in the works for that, so we could start to get a real full picture of what the guest is saying to you internally through your survey, and then externally through the World Wide Web and whatever social service they use. So you can see there's a number of other pieces that we're starting to learn about this guest. And then for the final stage is the email marketing. This is where you want to invite those guests to come book again at your property. You want to get them to channel shift, get them away from the OTAs, and you want to engage them at the right time. So now you can start to learn all of that information. So with a good CRM that can send out marketing campaigns for you, you'll capture a lot of this extra information, such as did they rebook, but did they book through an OTA, or did they book direct? Did they click an offer link, or were they reading news on your newsletter? What is it that intrigued this particular person? And then you can also embed your own Google Analytics. So to us, that's what a CRM delivers, is this one central view of your guest. The touch points are tracked and measured and brought back into their central guest profile. So with that information, here are some of the ideas that we suggest. So a big fan of any of these presentations that there's some takeaways for you. So we put together a list of some top suggestions that we have from our team about how you could engage a guest pre-arrival. So there's pre-arrival and then there's remarketing. So pre-marketing and remarketing. So before arrival, some good things for you to do is to inform the guest of parking or building facilities. You can do that in your confirmation email, or you could do that in your pre-arrival letter. And it's good if you can skew this towards business or leisure guests so that you're sending the right message to them. If you have any on-site outlets, you should definitely be promoting that. You should even encourage the guest or inform them that you've made a reservation already at your in-house restaurant and it's ready for their first night of arrival. Get them to respond back to you and say, no thanks, or that's great. We have a number of properties that are doing that, and it's been very, very successful for them. So that's a good tip for you to try. If you're not full service, if there's other elements that you have at your property that you want to promote, such as game systems or a good old six-pack of pop or something a little stronger, you can certainly recommend that too for your guests. Any type of service that they look for when they're checking in, this is your opportunity to get in front of them prior to arrival. So a company like ours and RoomKey, when they're building your account, they'll help you execute these items, but it really does come down to you and your team articulating what your needs are. There's also a number of room amenities that you can suggest, and some clients are doing this based on the number of nights. So if they're here for one night, they don't recommend certain services, but if they're here for multiple nights, they'll recommend room upgrades or other in-room services for them. So a variety of other ones that you can see here on the screen. The other one here that I want to mention is the encourage your OTA guests to check in online. So this can be done by anybody. You don't need a special solution to do this. And what we know is that a lot of your guests, when they book through an OTA, you don't receive that email address, and it's super valuable to engage that guest. So we have a number of clients who have simply put a form on their website that says, hey, did you check in or did you purchase a stay through an OTA? Let us know who you are and we can service you better, or we could have your room ready for arrival. It's just a simple form. The email address and first name and last name comes into your team, and then you can go in and you can update RoomKey with that information, and then it instantly gets that person into your guest communication platform. So that's a good tip for you to do. We have a side project called Lasso, lasso.in, that would help you with that as well. And any type of property, whether you're 4-star, 1-star, 5-star, really find out what is the reason for travel. Is it truly just tonight they just need a place to rest their head? Or is it more of a family vacation, or is it a special ceremony or event that they're traveling for? If you can engage your guest and find out what that is, you can make a world of difference to them, no matter what your service level is. Some post-stay marketing examples that we have. We suggest you can send out an email to get your guests to post a social review. There's an example here on the right-hand side. The simpler the better. Make it look like just a piece of plain old text that your GM typed up. It doesn't have to be fancy. And just to say, hey, thanks for your stay. Social media or TripAdvisor is very important to us. It helps other travelers find us just as you have, so take a moment here to post a review. Highly recommend you do this. If you have a CRM like Guestfolio, you can automate a lot of this process if you wish. The other key thing that we recommend is to develop an email campaign to reach those OTA guests. So through RoomKey, we're able to detect the source of the booking, and so you can develop an automated message that goes out to these guests 3 weeks or 3 days after their stay, and thanking them for the business and encouraging them to book again direct. And then you can provide a web link through the RoomKey service to have those people book direct with you next time. So it's a great way to win back some of that business that you've now earned because they've saved at your property. So there's a bunch of other suggestions on here. But you can also use the marketing tool to engage guests before they arrive. And so we have a number of clients that use our marketing campaign builder to actually target people who are about to arrive next weekend. So if they have any perishable rooms that they want to move or certain room upgrades they want to entice people with, you could also use a mail campaign to engage those people. So your list might only be 20 to 25 people, but it's a very relevant message that you're delivering. So to recap, you want to build a really dynamic guest profile so that you can pre-market to those guests, and then you can remarket to those guests to get them to book again with you. So let's start to take a look at what that guest journey looks like and what samples of what other hoteliers are sending pre-arrival to their guests. So that's something that we do really well, and RoomKey's done a fantastic job of building some guest communications for the clients. So let's just show you what some of those look like. So confirmation email, our philosophy is that a confirmation is an invitation. It's not just a receipt. So let's start engaging that guest. I will show you a simple, not simple because it's actually well done. This is one for a property in Vancouver called the Opus. Just a really nice letter, great graphics, great branding, but it's all HTML-based email. It's responsive, so it'll look really good on the mobile device, which is important. The fonts are bigger, the buttons are bigger. And then down below, all the traditional details of a confirmation message can be displayed here, including the guest room. So this information is managed within your CRM, but all the other data here comes directly from the reservation and that real-time push from RoomKey. So that's their message, another personal note at the bottom, and then a signature. Just lends a nice touch to the entire letter. Another example that I have here is for one of our clients, the Four Seasons Bora Bora. Of course, a little bit different. You know, the photography is quite stunning. The destination is stunning, and it kind of gets you excited already. But there's no reason why you can't create the same sort of impact with your own photography and messaging. So this is more suited for properties that are 3 to 5 star that might have on-site outlets or partnerships that they want to promote. And so here you can provide some quick link access for those guests to start planning their stay. And again, some of the traditional details down below. So that's an example of a couple of confirmation letters. There's a variety of different options there for you, but really start to think of who is your largest market, and how do you want to service them better through a confirmation and pre-arrival. Some pre-arrival ideas that we're seeing, people are promoting room upgrades 48 hours in advance of check-in, and those emails through a CRM should be automatically sent based on the dates and, of course, the room type that the guest is in, and it will intelligently recommend a room that's in a higher category than what they're in now. So that's usually a really good one. If they're coming for business, you might want to send them a note 24 hours in advance. Maybe you want to give them the parking information, the services update if there's any closures in your property. If you want to provide any Wi-Fi passwords or anything, that's a good way to do it, so they're absolutely ready for everything when they walk in the front door. So a lot of good ways to connect. New solution that we built in conjunction with RoomKey. It actually came through Kim, who many of you know, and Brent. We were talking about how can we allow guests to feel like they're connected to the property just before arrival, and then how can you as a hotelier learn more about their arrival time and date. It kind of helps you with the housekeeping schedules and organization of your day. So we help build a check-in email. And how that works is it's another automated email that is sent from our platform, but it's triggered to go 24 hours in advance. And when the guest receives it, looks great on their mobile phone, they click, and then it takes them to basically a form that's pre-filled with their first name, their last name, their email address, and then their desired arrival time, and then they can actually type in their flight number and a note. And they hit click, and off it goes. They're confirmed that it's happened. Behind the scenes, what happens is that information is pushed to your reservations department, and you're still going in and you're physically updating RoomKey with that guest and their need to check in. Of course, down the road, it would be great to automate that, but a number of clients that we've reached out to in the beginning, they actually said they wanted to receive it and then go in and manually control that process themselves. But so it's a great start. We've seen really good impact when hoteliers are sending these check-in emails. We're seeing about a 35% completion rate of this form. So really, really good numbers there. So that's something for you to consider if you have a service like ours, or if you're looking for a CRM, is that they offer that. So the next part of learning about your guests and how you can up more in them or learn more about them is through what we call a mobile concierge. Other vendors will have an app service for you. Both essentially work the same way. At Guestfolio, ours is a web-based solution, so it works just like an app, but there's no maintenance of the app. The guest doesn't have to download it. It's all sort of built right into their browser on their phone, and so it dynamically changes sizes regardless of the device that they're on. So there's quite a lot of information I could go into here, but I might skip it for now and maybe come back if that's a question that people have. But a good app or a good digital concierge should promote your property, promote any in-house services that you have, concierge recommendations, your dining, your activities should all be listed in a nice a la carte format, and a guest should be able to click and request it, and it should go to your property instantly to be notified that a guest is interested in doing it. We find that guests will be more inclined to do this if they don't have to log in or create an identity. So with Guestfolio, we've taken all that in behind the scenes, and so the guest simply browses into here. We know who they are and when they're arriving, so they just start to add services to their stay. So for you, that helps you generate more revenue per guest stay. It helps you learn a little bit more about them. Now you know they like dining or fitness or other services that you have. So it's kind of a win for the guest, and it's a win for you as well. So the next step of sort of this dynamic guest profile and how a CRM helps you learn as much as possible about a guest for us is guest satisfaction, so the checkout experience. You can trigger a survey through a CRM to go out instantly on checkout. At Guestfolio, we recommend a 3-day window. It gives people time to exit, to travel, and to get back to work and check their emails, and that's then the 3rd day is when you can send them the satisfaction survey. It also gives your team time to unsubscribe a guest within the CRM so that they don't receive a survey. And that's important because if a guest has had a kind of horrible experience on site, you should be able to go into your CRM and unsubscribe or remove them from receiving the survey. Because there's nothing worse than going to the front desk and telling you all your problems and then receiving an email later on that says, hey, how was your stay? So we do recommend that, that you do that. So leaving that 3-day window helps you do it. Let me just show you quickly how our survey solution works and the unique partnership that we have with TripAdvisor. So let's open in a new window. So what happens is email is beautifully designed by Kim and her team. It's designed with your brand standards. A guest checks out, the status changes in RoomKey, and then 3 days later or 3 hours later, whatever you wish, the letter is sent to the guest. It's typically from the general manager or a service manager, and it thanks them for their stay and encourages them to provide feedback. So when they click this, I've just taken a snapshot out of a survey. They'll be taken into their guest satisfaction survey. So it's an instant one-click, here I am. I don't have to tell them, the survey company, what hotel I stayed in, what room I was in, or any of that information. It's already preloaded in behind the scenes. That's why the integration is key. Now, as a guest, I can start filling in all the different ratings, and I won't go into details of a guest satisfaction survey. There's lots of great vendors out there that are offering this. We allow you to build any kind of question or input type that you wish. And RoomKey has actually designed a best practice survey that they recommend for their clients to use, so you can access that too. So when the guest has now completed this, it's important to understand when I hit complete survey, the results that I've just completed or filled out here are instantly sent to my hotel team, and it's not publicly available for anybody. This has now been confidentially sent to the property. But when I do hit submit, the page redraws. It keeps your hotel branding up top here, but in the middle is now the TripAdvisor review form. And through the partnership that our company has with TripAdvisor, this is already Am I back? Sorry, everybody. I don't know how long the audio was out there, but hopefully you can hear me. Maybe, Nav, if you could just ping me on the chat and just let me know that everybody can still hear the audio. So carrying on with this, what's great is that we've pre-filled all this information in behind the scenes for the guest. And so they're simply filling in the ratings and then they're clicking submit. And when they do that, an account is created for them automatically on TripAdvisor. If they have an account, it's logged to their existing account and it's added to that. So to give you an example of what it looks like is I'm now live on the TripAdvisor review form. Any review that you see on TripAdvisor for your competitor, if it says review collected in partnership, it means coming through a collaboration like ours at Guestfolio, where the review happens during the guest satisfaction survey process. So that's typically where this occurs. So that was talking to you about guest satisfaction and the TripAdvisor partnership and how that's important to have for that overall dynamic guest profile. So I have two more pieces to show you. And then anybody who's on the call who's an existing RoomKey Guestfolio client, I have something new at the end. It's kind of a nice little surprise for you guys. So the last piece of the communication process is the email marketing. A good CRM will help you segment your data so that you can connect with guests at different levels. So an example of some of the data that we provide segmenting for is here. And this really helps you build a strategic campaign. So if you want to target people based on their most recent stay dates or the rate code or the source or whether they have family or not, or even by city, state, or country, you can do all of that. If you have interests or tags within your guest data, you can send it to that. So maybe they're interested in wine or football events or things like this, New Year's parties. You can do that. You can even target people based on the total spend and like the room revenue that they've accumulated over a year or a quarter. So all of that information should be available to you so that you can send out your campaign. And when that campaign is created and sent, a good CRM will help you display the results. So not just the clicks and the opens and the bounces, but the conversion revenue as well. So through our real-time collaboration with RoomKey, we're actually able to detect if a guest has received a campaign and then gone back to book a room as a result of receiving this. And at our company, we monitor it for about 15 days to see if there's any new reservations. And then there's a lot of, you can export that data, you sort it by different categories, you can remove certain people based on the room code, rate code that they've booked. So a lot of great analysis that you can do of that conversion revenue. So campaigns are really important to that guest communication process. So for existing RoomKey, I want to just spend a brief minute showing you Studio. Studio is a new service that we're just weeks away from releasing. All of you will receive it in your account. And it's been about 6 months of development, and it's a way for you to build your marketing emails. I do admit that the process that we have and others is very painful. The fact that you start with this blank canvas and you really just have your cursor and you have to start constructing a beautiful email on your own. If you're not HTML savvy or design savvy, it's a very daunting task, and we know that. And you're hoteliers, you're great at servicing guests, not at building emails, just being honest. So let's have a look at what Studio looks like. I'm just going to click it open here. So this will be available within your dashboard of Guestfolio. So now if you go to create a new email campaign, you'll see the Studio appear. again, this will be in 2 weeks. This will be released into your account. You simply hit launch. You type in a name, so my May campaign. We're going to have a number, it even helps you spell. We're going to have a number of themes here that you can choose from that give you a great head start. So for this testing period, we just have our beta theme, but look forward to several that will. So when the environment opens, it pre-builds a best practice newsletter for you, and it's just sitting over here. And if you want to start moving elements around, you can do so, or you can easily start to delete. And then you can add elements yourself at any time. So you're not given this daunting task of where do I start? Well, we actually put something together for you that's really easy to manipulate. And so going through, you can start to customize it, and you can add your own logo, your own branding, your own colors. And I can start replacing these photos if I wish with images that are on my computer. And again, it's great. We go through, we do all the cropping for you. We do all the saving. It actually gets downsized to the proper size. So if your image is huge, no need to worry anymore. It gets saved and displayed in here to the correct size. Lots of different controls with colors and fonts. So you can see how easy it is for you to start manipulating this campaign to make it look just perfect for your property. And then there's a number of different layout, we call them blocks, that you can start adding to your campaign. So if I want to have some content that looks like this, very simple to go ahead and do that. I can now upload an image if I want. I can create my title, my content, and then I can hit save. So it's a real smooth process that helps you construct these emails. And we hope you love it. It's very simple, and we're going to have a number of themes available to you, and it's really easy to move these items around. So that's Studio, just giving you a quick tour of how that's going to work. So it'll be available in everybody's account, and you'll be able to customize and go out and build your own newsletters when you wish. We have a gallery that we'll be sharing shortly on our Instagram site, our Pinterest site, that'll give you some ideas of what other hoteliers are sending for email marketing. It helps you with some of the language and some of the layouts and photos that they've chosen. So that will be included when you launch Studio. So that is kind of how all the pieces are brought together into a CRM. So having all those various components really ensures that all of that important data is in one place. And with a solution like Guestfolio and RoomKey, it truly is that most robust guest profile in all of hospitality. So now when you're looking at your guests, you know everything about them, including their photo, their gender, their age, their total number of stays, survey score, their interests, job title, all those various information, all of that will be available to you. So you can just engage that guest either at check-in or when you're remarketing to them to invite them back again. Okay, Nev, that's everything that I wanted to go through. I can certainly go through concierge details later on, but hopefully I've painted a picture of what hoteliers should look for in a CRM.
Hi, Dwayne. Thanks. It's Carrie. So thank you for that. That was great. Just to get things started, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type those into the box, and then what I will do is read those, and we'll see what we can if we can answer some of these. So does a hotel have to use all the services or all the CRM services you mentioned today?
So now, Carrie, feel free to come back if you want. Maybe until you hijack, I will take people into the concierge just to open that up in case there's still some people on the call. So feel free to kind of jump in anytime you want. But this is an example of what a mobile concierge could look like for your hotel. And Kim and her team at RoomKey will help construct this. But it just gives you a sense of what it looks like. We do want to promote that's important to you, so we can display rooms based on the profile that a guest is in now, and then we can recommend rooms that are in a higher category. It's really important to note that unlike other services, even like Nor1, there's no commission paid on these room upgrades or activities that happen through a digital concierge like ours, you don't pay any commission on those, so it's straight revenue into your pocket.
Okay. Thanks, Dwayne.
So I'll just click through some of the other pages.
Okay, so Dwayne, I have another question here. Can you hear me? Hi, Dwayne. I've got a couple questions here. Can you hear me if I read these questions out to you?
And then the itinerary is where all of those requests, everything that a guest starts to book through your digital concierge or your app if you use a third-party company, typically everything would get displayed to your guest here in this itinerary. This is a Play account, so there's quite a lot of information. But a good CRM platform for guest like application should have the ability to push your own local events and services that are happening. So here's a property that has a wine event in their lobby, so they can talk about it here within the itinerary, and it's relevant only to people who are staying over that stay date. So that's really important to look for in a CRM. Let's see what our social page looks like.
Dwayne, I'm not sure if you're hearing me. I have a few questions from the audience.
Well, apparently, I'll stop because I think you guys are trying to ask me questions. I wonder if it's because I am the host now that you're unable to ask me questions.
Dwayne, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, and I think the audience can hear you and I, but I'm not sure Dwayne can for some reason, so just see. Sorry, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Dwayne, can you hear me now? Okay, I'm going to read through a couple of these questions that I know I can answer, and then the ones where I'm not sure about the specific technical information, we'll get back to the individuals that asked this. So, Dwayne,
hi, everybody.
Hi, Dwayne. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, so let me just throw some questions out here to you while we still have some time, and we'll just go through these one by one.
Okay.
So the first question here from Keith is, the RoomKeyPMS has a second address field which includes a second email address. Does Guestfolio allow for sending confirmations to both addresses?
We can. We are able to do that. Yeah, presently with the RoomKey. Yeah, with the RoomKey API that we have, we're just storing the one principal email address, but there is facility on our side to store multiple. So we could definitely look at that.
Great. Another question here is on they use, I guess, currently use Revenate for post-stay surveys and online review site management. I guess you obviously do. We obviously do surveys through Guestfolio. So Keith, just to answer that for you, we do have some customers that will use Guestfolio for the surveys because of the ability to customize them, but they'll do the online reviews through a company like Revenate, or we also have Medallia available as an alternative. But most customers who use Medallia through RoomKey would suppress the survey and use the Guestfolio survey. Hopefully that answers your question. The next question is from Michael about whether the pricing is flat rate or do you pay by the different modules. It is an all-in price, so all the features that Dwayne showed you today are included in your monthly fee. Next question, this is for you, Dwayne. If you unsubscribe a guest so that they don't receive the post-stay survey, what happens if they book another stay? Will they receive a confirmation email, or do you need to manually then resubscribe them?
Great question. You do not need to manually resubscribe them. If they book another stay with you, they will receive their confirmation letter, but they won't receive any pre-arrival notification or post-stay notification because we've had to acknowledge that those are marketing messages. So they will indeed receive a confirmation even if they are unsubscribed.
Yep. So the confirmation is pushed from the PMS system, so as soon as a reservation is made, RoomKey then sends the message to Guestfolio, so that will always happen.
Yeah, now the guest could log into Guestfolio. At the bottom of the confirmation letters, there's usually something that says Manage Profile, and in there they can explicitly unsubscribe from confirmations as well. So if that's important to the hotel, that's possible.
Great. Another good question. Okay. Just go down here. We use we have okay, so we have a multi-property configuration, and one of our challenges is with current guest profiling and RoomKey is that the merge function does not interface with our databases. However, new profiles will be created and duplicated within our Guestfolio, recognize the same guests, and update their single profile regardless of which property they stay in from the collection. So you're saying Guestfolio, so Dwayne, in Guestfolio, the system is intuitive enough not to duplicate to the same person, right?
It is.
Messaging? Okay.
Oh yeah, certainly that. Yeah, definitely. We will use the email address currently as that unique identifier. We are rescoping the database to add other elements in there to because you might have say in a couple relationship, the wife goes and makes a booking with an email address, but then the husband makes the next booking with a different first name and last name, but using that same email address. We will sort of update the record with the most current information that we have presently. So certainly no duplicate emails will go to that guest in the marketing campaign, but down the road we're going to be able to break apart that guest profile into I guess one, but with two different entities within it. I probably confused the answer, but the answer from our side right now is that guest, that email address will only receive a campaign message once. They won't receive it 5 or 6 times if it's the same email address used for a variety of different people, if you will.
Okay, another question is, can we create our own survey questions, or are we locked into standard ones?
You can definitely create your own. We have that best practice, that document that RoomKey, your team, has put together. You know, in an ideal world, these are the 12 or 13 questions that you should ask, and they're designed in the logical order that they should be presented. But at the end of the day, it's up to you and your whatever outlets or services. You can determine your own questions at any time.
And another question is there a benefit for having a CRM system like Guestfolio if you're a smaller property or you're not full service?
Yeah, you know, if you're full service, there's a lot of benefits that you probably saw in the presentation here about engaging guests, you know, upselling them. But even if you're a smaller property, you can still create that connection with them. So even if that stay is meant to be just sort of a nightly, you know, one-time occurrence, there's still tremendous value in building brand recognition with them. So just sending a beautifully designed letter pre-arrival or a post-stay thank you, any hotelier can benefit from that. We're all competing, or you're all competing on TripAdvisor for that next room night. So the more you can engage and just sort of be friendly through a CRM, the better the impression you'll have.
Okay. Is there a way, so another question, is there a way to change the time between sending a modification email to a guest?
Yeah, so this must be a kind of a power user of Guestfolio. So modification email, it does go out upon change right now. So if we receive the updated, let's say a guest changed their stay date, they add one more day or they do something else that triggers that modification email. Presently it goes out as soon as the reservation is changed in RoomKey. There might be a way to create a different style of email that's not called a modification, but it still in effect has that result. To give you straight answers right now, I think there's not a way to delay the timing of a modification email, but we'll have a look and see if maybe there's a workaround for a different type of email to have the same effect. So currently you can't, it does go out instantly.
Okay, so if you're an existing existing RoomKey Guestfolio user, then feel free to contact us, the sales team, or if you know Kim Ross, you can reach her at kross@roomkeypms.com with some specific questions like that. If there's anything we've missed today where somebody wants to take a deeper dive on some of these questions, and we'll be happy to. And as far as we have another question about whether you could use this CRM for a campground, I would say absolutely. We have some RV park campgrounds that use this. We have extended stay hotels. We have boutiques. We have urban hotels, suburban hotels, rural hotels. I don't think there's anybody who can't benefit from this. The pricing, somebody asked about the pricing for a campground. We can discuss that based on the size of your park.
Yeah.
But generally, it's based on the number of sites you would have or the number of rooms that you would have. So there's banded pricing for that. So, but yes, go ahead.
Carrie, I was going to say, yeah, whether you're an apartment or you're a hotel or you're a campground, it does indeed work, because if you have a different identifier for each, in a hotel, of course, you have a different room code for each room type. In a campground, if you have a different identifier for each site, for example, that gives you that flexibility to send a confirmation or a private letter to someone with unique information based on that, that trigger point, that one unique piece of data in that reservation. So if you've got that, then there's a lot of ways that you can customize the content to guests based on the site that they're in or site category. So it does indeed work for a campground.
Absolutely, and I think any guest, regardless of where they're going, likes receiving the concierge information about the location and things to expect, and tips and information that you can share with them, and amenities that you have at your campground. So I would say absolutely this works. We have both seasonal properties and full year-round type properties.
Yeah.
So again, we're happy to have sales talk with you about the number of sites you have and work out something for you. Just going to quickly, I think we're at the end of all the questions that we had. I'm just going to take one last look here to see if there was anything that I missed. There was one question about using Revenate for the post-stay survey. Can Guestfolio be used to send the request to complete a survey but link to the Revenate survey? I'm going to say that that's a no. If the request is generated from Guestfolio for a survey, it's going to be in the Guestfolio system, or you would not use the survey function in Guestfolio and just continue with your with the Revenate for the survey piece if you wanted to, but use the other features in Guestfolio.
Yeah, because the whole idea is that the link is customized for the guests, so they're not going to a generic page where they're having to tell you who they were and when they stayed. So that integration is important.
Yep. Well, I will take a look here. See if I'm going to take one last look down this list. There was a question, but this is more specific. Somebody whose property is not yet open, but they're in the process of building their guest templates. So if you're working right now with Kim on your templates, you would just refer to Kim Ross for this information by email or by phone to work with her on the templates, and she can walk you through that piece. And that is all the questions I have. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time. Dwayne, great presentation. And again, the team at RoomKey is your point of contact for Guestfolio. We take care of everything for you on that building, supporting, and obviously work very closely with Dwayne's team. So wish everybody a great day, and hope to hear from you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.